Greetings to my fellow peace blunderers, and today I'm actually taking on the role of a doctor, if you like. And no, I'm not talking about proctology. I don't care what's going on down there with you, alright? Today, rather, I'm talking about otorhinolaryngology, a good old ENT doctor, because sometimes, boy, when I see you play, your nose just ain't smelling. Your nose ain't smelling those plentiful tactical opportunities that are just there to be taken, pounced on, whatever. And this video aims to fix that. Today I want to show you 3 positions that I played myself in real online rated games on chess.com. Rapid, by the way, if you're wondering. And they're all similar. In a way, they're all very instructive, I think, and they share a pattern, which is the central idea of this video, seeing tactical opportunities. Now, the first one, the one that you're seeing right now, is easy and straightforward. If you've already figured it out, congratulations, it's not difficult. The other 2 are going to be slightly more difficult, and honestly, they're going to be slightly more dubious. Like, the engine ain't telling me that the moves that I played were the best, but there is a point to them that I want to show. And yes, as my little assistant in the background is shouting at you, today is going to be all about f7 specifically, because f7 is the magical square, if you like. f7 should always be a square that you look at when it comes to sacrifices, tactical play, whatever, because this is the most juicy square on the board if you're playing white, of course. And when you're trying to suffocate or destroy black, just get him off the board, this is the one that you want to look at. Now, for example, in position number 1, seeing a sacrifice on f7 is relatively easy. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure a lot of you guys must have done it many times before in similar positions. And I'm not going to dwell on it too much, even this is just a segue to show what we're going to talk about. And for some of the more beginner players, this might be actually new. But in a position like this, when you have all of our pieces nice and centralized, very nicely developed, especially with the knight on e5 being the icing on the cake. By the way, it's black to move. Knight c6. Tricked you. Knight c6, aiming to challenge that beautiful knight that we've got. We kind of want to make our knight work. We kind of want to make our knight do something. We don't want to take on c6, for instance. That's just counterintuitive and anti-positional, getting rid of our arguably strongest piece just like that. Sometimes it makes sense, but not here. What makes sense more is moving the other direction. What we see here is that we've got potentially tremendous pressure on e6. And e6 is only defended once and attacked 3 times if the knight moves. And fortunately, we can in one move get rid of the only defender of e6 and get the knight out of the way, unleashing the latent potential of our battery. And this move is obviously knight takes f7. There you go. Knight takes f7, and now e6 is just gone. It's indefensible. And yes, we're sacking a piece, but first of all, if king takes is suicidal. In these positions, king almost never takes. Queen takes and it's mate and 4. It's a forced win. You can even find that if you want. Instead, what happens is that usually the rook takes. And yeah, now I'm going to say honestly, this position, it doesn't have like a forced win. In fact, the engine says white is only slightly better. And this is going to be a common theme in the 3 positions I'm going to show, is that there isn't a forced win. There isn't like a puzzle-like combination which gives you mate or which wins a queen. No. This is about this. I don't know if you could hear it through the microphone. This is developing a tactical sense when you don't see a win necessarily, but you believe that it is going to come and your attack is going to be stronger than your opponent's defense. And attacking is largely easier than defending for most people, especially in blitz and rapid online games when there isn't much time. And here, after queen takes e6, well, we've got an interesting game on our hands. The rook is pinned, and it's attacked, obviously, twice and defended only once, so it needs defending. Something like queen e7 is recommended by the engine here, and we've got 2 pawns for a piece. We'll probably get the material back in one shape or form. For instance, I don't know, the queen goes away and we at some point capture this rook with a bishop. We may not want to, but it depends. It depends on what we decide to do. Either way, we have a very exciting game where we have tremendous pressure on the king side, and don't forget about the weak light squares, especially important here, because we have a very good, a very powerful light squared bishop, which can affect those weaknesses, whereas this bishop, black's light squared bishop, is not relevant to the king side just yet. It's clumsily positioned. It's good on this diagonal potentially, but not anywhere around here. It needs to remaneuver itself, gonna take some time to help defend. We can use that. Now, if you're the type of player that doesn't like going for these positions with complicated material imbalances, that's completely fine. Whatever works for you, right? If you're the type of person that outmaneuvers someone positionally in 60 moves in London, I wish I could do that. I can't. This is what I'm forced to do because I can't do it any other way. But if you are the type of player that does like these things, you may want to train your sense better, and seeing these sacrifices on f7 is one way to go. Position number 2. I'm white again, and I'm going to be white on all 3 of them. And suffice it to say, it was some weird Scandinavian I had never seen before, and it's not very relevant. The point remains the same. This is what we got after 11 moves, and we've got knight takes, pawn takes, and my knight got attacked. Now, there's nothing wrong with retreating. All right, you should learn to like a good retreat. Always retreat, like Ben says. And Ben is right. Retreating a lot of the time is actually more useful than people give it credit for. However, in this particular game, I was not in the mood for retreating, and I just wanted to really sack on f7. Now, I did that, and I'm going to tell you this is not the best engine move. The engine says my move is okay. There are better ones, but this is okay. Why did I do that, and why does it actually kind of work? Again, it's all about the Benjamin, it's all about the light squares. The light squares. When king takes bishop h5 check, what we see is that king can come back, rook is cutting off e6, king goes to g8, for example, and we have tremendous amount of pressure on the light squares here. And the king is obviously stuck in a corner, never going to castle. Black is a little bit cramped. And yeah, this light squared bishop again can't really come and help defend very quickly. We've got the route via e6 blocked by our rook. We've got the route via d7 kind of nullified by our bishop. And the route on f5 we can block with a very timely queen f3, right? And you know, this position is not very pleasant for black, and it's again another point for us to try and sacrifice, try and find useful tactics, and a lot of them that are sacrifices on f7 are evolving around the light squares. Now, admittedly, queen f3 was not the move I played. I played a much inferior move, but suffice it to say, I won the game in 8 moves, right? So this was move 14. By move 22, I won. And this was not the smoothest win, I've got to admit. I kind of lost an edge here and there, but my opponent also made some mistakes. And this is what's important to understand as well. I'm playing this game at a rapid 2100 level, and 2100 for some of you sounds very respectable. But what you also need to understand, online, time pressure, you know, people maybe not at their best, not very focused. People are bound to make mistakes a lot of the time. And when people tell me, well, you shouldn't sacrifice because, you know, the engine is telling different and, you know, the person's going to defend perfectly. No, they're not. No, they're not. A lot of the time, sometimes they do defend very well. But especially if we're talking about thousands, 1500s, they're not. So you always need to give the attacker, even in an unsound position, an advantage, the upper hand, because again, attacking is easier, and you should be open-minded enough so that these sacrifices may actually work. And in this position, it did work. If you want to see the rest of it, I played queen c2 instead of f3. I wanted to go here. E5, a clever move, trying to make the queen more relevant to the king side. Takes, we've got takes. And now I played c5, which the engine doesn't like particularly, but I wanted just to get this diagonal opened up as well. Bishop e6, trying to defend the diagonal, but that's a tactical blunder, of course. And this is what I was kind of hoping for, not counting on, but hoping for, because bishop e6 is bad. I just do this little thing where the bishop is going to be lost. Obviously, you know, it's check. and we're forking bishop and king. And either way, you know, you can block with the bishop, you can block with the queen. I take the bishop and I won literally in the next 3 moves. So there you go. The position was winning for me, then it wasn't that much, and then up to bishop e6, it was very, very winning. And this is also living proof to people who think or say or have a strong opinion that 2000s don't make mistakes, they defend perfectly. No, they don't. Look at this. Bishop e6 just hangs a piece and easy win. And our final position, again, very, very messy, like they do happen with me a lot of the time, especially in the Smith-Morra. And this is the Smith-Morra. My bishop is kind of hanging a little bit, but it's my move, so I can do something about it. I obviously do not retreat the bishop, which shouldn't have said obviously, it's not that obvious. I decide to create a counter threat, and this is a concept that some of you guys need to understand better and use more often, the concept of counter threats. When we are threatened, sometimes it's better to create a counter threat of stronger value. And what I mean by that, here I played bishop b6, which is the best move, and it's very easy to find. I'm not going to pretend it's a difficult move to find. We attack the queen, and the bishop is protected, so it's fine. And, you know, the bishop you can take, but you're going to lose your queen, and this is exactly this counter threat that is stronger than the one I'm facing. So queen to d7, and now, again, not addressing the bishop just yet, throwing knight c7 check first, forking the king and rook, and the king goes to f8. And now I'm thinking to myself, well, if I take this rook, I'm losing my bishop, right? And yes, I can go back with a knight to c7, and my position is going to be fine, but I didn't want that. I wanted to do something else instead. Now, the engine says the best move is indeed taking, which in hindsight I do agree with. But I didn't want to go this way that I just showed you. Instead, what I did, you guessed it, bishop takes f7. I decided that since I'm losing my bishop, I want to lose it spectacularly. I want to break something up. And I took on f7, and the logic is very simple. You know, king takes, I take this rook anyway, right? I take this rook anyway, and the downside of this situation is that queen b7, and I can't really save my knight anymore, right? The knight went to c7 quite safely in the last position, but now, you know, this piece configuration in a corner isn't really very safe. So I can't really save my knight. I was fine with that, though. I played rook 8 to c1, and after the knight was taken, yes, I am down material, but I lured the king out. I took the f1. The queen is on a8, whatever it's doing there. And after bishop c7, trying to apply a bit more pressure to the center. This pawn is indefensible in my opinion, last time I checked. And my rooks are nice and centralized. And I felt like it was a good idea. And it worked out in the end. I won the game. And again, I want to stress, the sacrifice on f7 in this position, just like in the last one, was not the best move, right? But in my opinion, at the time, it was the move that facilitated the quickest win, if you see what I mean. Not the soundest, but made the position sharper. The position that I liked, the position that I felt gave me the quickest path to forcing the opponent's mistakes. And this is exactly the points that I want to get across in this video. This video is not about forced wins. This video is not about winning queens or whatever. It's about developing a tactical sense, this smell for tactics or for interesting opportunities when we're not sure what we're doing is the best or the straightest path to winning, but we believe in ourselves to develop on this complicated position and develop it into a win. And a lot of these sacrifices, they do tend to happen on f7 because they force the king out, they deprive the king of castling rights most of the time. And yeah, it just makes for very interesting positions. So just look at whatever action you can provide the f7 square and just go for it sometimes. You only learn when you do it and when you make mistakes. I'm not going to pretend that I win all the possessions that I sacrifice. It's ridiculous. Obviously, I don't. But most of the time I do. And most of the time I have fun. And that's why I'm suggesting you to do that. Yeah, do it. And yeah, if you just so happened to find this video useful, please like and subscribe, follow my streams. I'm going to stream tomorrow for the first time this year, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. On Sunday, we have round 1 of our Blunderland Cup 2024, a season-long competition with a grand prize at the end of it. So you want to get involved for sure. And yes, to all of my unintentional gambiteers, all the best of luck. I'll see you in the next one.